Have you ever felt a quiet pull inside you, like something greater is trying to guide you toward a future you can't quite see yet? That feeling is not random. It's not an accident. It's a whisper from God, nudging you toward the path He has already prepared for you. Too often we ignore it, brushing it off as wishful thinking or imagination, but the truth is that these moments are signs. They are signals meant to wake you up, to remind you that you were not created to live in fear, lack, or limitation. You were created for abundance, for growth, for wealth in every sense of the word. And when you begin to notice these signs, it means God is already leading you there. Think about how many times you felt restless in your current situation, like no matter what you achieve, something is still missing. That restlessness isn't a curse, it's a clue. It's proof that you're being called higher, that the level you're on now is no longer where you belong. God doesn't plant hunger for more inside your heart unless He has already prepared the way for you to receive it. That deep desire for financial freedom, for security, for the ability to give generously and live without fear of tomorrow, that desire is sacred. It's not greed. It's guidance. It's your spirit waking up to the truth of who you are meant to be. But here's the challenge. Most people ignore the signs because they seem too small, too ordinary, or too uncomfortable. They expect lightning bolts and booming voices, but God often speaks in the silence, through subtle shifts, through moments that seem like coincidences but are actually divine alignments. You're not here by accident. Even the fact that you're listening to this message right now is evidence that you are being guided. And if you choose to lean in instead of turning away, everything can change. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to finally step into the life you've dreamed about, to wake up every day with peace instead of panic, to look at your bank account and know that not only are your needs met, but you have more than enough to bless others, to walk into a room with confidence because you know you are standing in the center of God's plan for you. That vision is not just fantasy, it's a preview. It's a glimpse of what's possible when you follow the signs instead of doubting them. The reward for staying with this journey is bigger than wealth itself. Yes, money matters. Yes, financial freedom matters. But even more than that, it's about stepping into alignment with the person you were born to be. It's about unlocking the courage to take action, the faith to keep moving, and the wisdom to recognize opportunities when they appear. God doesn't want you stuck in cycles of worry. He doesn't want you doubting your worth or shrinking your dreams to fit your fears. He wants you to rise. He wants you to claim the inheritance that has always been yours. So stay with me, because as we move forward, you'll discover the exact signs that confirm God is leading you to wealth. Signs that may already be showing up in your life. Signs that will shift your perspective, awaken your faith, and push you toward the future you were always meant to live. This is not about luck. This is not about chance. This is about recognizing divine guidance and choosing to follow it with courage, because everything you've been praying for is already waiting for you. And the moment you open your eyes to these signs, your life begins to change forever. When you begin to notice change stirring inside you, it can feel uncomfortable. You may sense that the things you once tolerated no longer sit right with your spirit. You may feel less satisfied with routines that used to keep you content, less interested in conversations that no longer feed your growth, and more aware of how your time is being spent. That discomfort is not a punishment. It is a sign. It is God stretching you, preparing you, calling you to let go of what no longer serves the future He is building for you. Growth rarely feels comfortable at first, but it always points towards something greater. Think about the moments when you feel a sudden spark of inspiration, an idea that seems to come out of nowhere, a vision that keeps replaying in your mind no matter how much you try to ignore it. Those flashes are not random. They are seeds planted by God, meant to take root in your heart and guide you to action. But the truth is, many people dismiss them. They tell themselves it's unrealistic, that it's too late, or that they're not ready. What they don't realize is that every great breakthrough starts as a whisper. And the only difference between those who step into wealth and those who remain stuck is the willingness to trust that whisper and act on it. You might feel fear rise up when new doors begin to open. You might question if you're capable, if you're worthy, if you'll fail. That fear is natural, but it's also a sign you're moving closer to your destiny. Fear is often the final wall before breakthrough, a test of whether you will let doubt silence your calling or whether you will press forward in faith. Remember this, courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving anyway because you trust the one who is guiding you. Every step you take in faith, no matter how small, is a declaration that you believe God's plan for your life is greater than your fear. Pay attention to how your environment begins to shift. People who drain your energy may drift away. Circumstances that once held you may fall apart. At first, it may feel like loss, but in reality, it is clearing. God removes what blocks your path so that you have space for what he is bringing. If you hold on tightly to what is leaving, you may miss what is trying to enter. Release is often the greatest test of faith because it forces you to believe that better is on the way, even when you cannot see it yet. You will know you are being led to wealth when opportunities begin to align in ways you could not have orchestrated yourself. Doors you never imagined open, connections appear at the right moment, resources find their way to you. These alignments are not coincidences, they are divine setups. The question is not whether God is leading you, but whether you will be ready to say yes when the moment arrives. Stay awake to these signs. Stay sensitive to that inner pull. Do not shrink back when life begins to stretch you, because the stretching is proof of expansion. You are being shaped for something beyond what you can currently see. The more you listen, the more you trust, the more you act with faith, the clearer the path becomes. God is not only calling you to wealth, he is equipping you with the strength, wisdom, and resilience you will need to hold it. Every uncomfortable nudge, every moment of restlessness, every door that closes is evidence that you are being led somewhere extraordinary. And when you lean into that truth, you begin to step boldly into the life that was written for you long before you could imagine it. There comes a moment when you begin to see patterns forming around you as if life itself is speaking a language only your spirit can understand. You notice repeated numbers, recurring thoughts, conversations that seem perfectly timed, and messages that appear in unexpected places. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. They are God's way of drawing your attention to the direction he is leading you. When the same message echoes through different channels, it is because you are meant to notice it, reflect on it, and allow it to shape your next step. Ignoring it only delays the blessing, but embracing it opens the path to greater wealth and clarity. You will also feel a rising conviction inside you, a pull toward discipline and responsibility that feels stronger than before. Habits that once seemed harmless begin to feel heavy. Wasted time suddenly feels more costly. You feel the urgency to protect your energy, to focus your mind, to guard your actions. That shift is God strengthening your foundation, because wealth is not just about receiving, it is about being able to sustain what you are given. If you are noticing a new seriousness in how you handle your time, money, or thoughts, that is a clear sign you are being prepared for increase. You are being trained in small things so that you can be trusted with greater things. Another undeniable sign is the rise of vision. You start to see yourself differently, not as you are now, but as the person you are becoming. You begin to imagine the home you want to live in, the work you want to do, the people you want to help. This vision is not fantasy, it is prophecy. It is God showing you what is possible so that your faith has an anchor. Without vision, people stay stuck in cycles of survival. With vision, they are willing to endure the stretching, the discomfort, the sacrifice, because they know what they are moving toward. That picture in your heart is not there by accident. It is evidence that God is leading you toward wealth and purpose. Doubt will always try to fight against this vision. The enemy of your progress is not lack of opportunity. It is the inner voice that tells you you're not capable, not ready, not chosen. That voice will point to your past, your mistakes, your failures as proof that you cannot rise. But the truth is, God does not call the qualified. He qualifies the call. If you feel unworthy, it is only because you are judging yourself by human standards. God sees beyond your past into the future he designed for you. Wealth is not reserved for the perfect. It is reserved for those willing to believe, obey, and take steps even when they don't feel prepared. The more you lean into this process, the more you realize that wealth is not only external, it begins internally. A wealthy life starts with a wealthy spirit, with faith that grows stronger every time you act in alignment with your calling. The signs you are seeing are not just pointing you to money, they are pointing you to transformation. They are shaping you into someone who carries wisdom, discipline, and courage, qualities that create lasting abundance. When you recognize these signs and choose to follow them, you step out of limitation and into a life where Possibility replaces fear, and faith becomes the foundation of everything you build. One of the clearest ways you know you are being guided toward wealth is the growing awareness of the power of your thoughts. You begin to notice how what you dwell on shapes how you feel, and how what you feel shapes the actions you take. Suddenly you see that fear-based thinking has kept you in cycles of lack, while faith-based thinking opens doors that once seemed impossible. This realization is not a coincidence. It is God revealing to you that your mind is the first battlefield and your beliefs are the soil in which wealth must grow. If you are noticing a deeper pull to guard your thoughts, to replace doubt with faith, and to imagine more for yourself, you are already stepping into alignment with His plan. Your desires begin to shift as well. What once felt satisfying no longer does. Quick fixes lose their appeal, and temporary pleasures feel empty. Instead, you crave impact, stability, and legacy. This change in appetite is proof that God is raising your standards, because true wealth cannot be built on shallow cravings. It requires vision, patience, and purpose. If you are finding yourself less interested in distractions and more drawn to growth, service, and meaningful work, it is a sign you are being reshaped for abundance. You are being separated from what keeps others stuck so that you can walk a higher path. Opportunities begin to test you, and sometimes they come disguised as challenges. A setback may push you to rethink your direction. A closed door may force you to consider a new path. At first, these moments can feel discouraging, but they are actually signs of redirection. God closes doors not to punish you, but to protect you. He removes what looks good so that He can prepare what is truly great. If you are facing resistance right now, it may be the clearest proof that you are being guided to something bigger. The question is whether you will let the temporary obstacle stop you, or whether you will rise with faith and trust the process. Another sign is the shift in how you see money itself. You stop viewing it only as survival and start recognizing it as a tool, something that can serve a greater purpose, something that can multiply your impact. You realize wealth is not just about you, it is about what flows through you. It is about being positioned to help, to build, to create change. When this mindset begins to take root, you move beyond small thinking. You stop asking, how can I get by? And start asking, how can I grow? How can I give? How can I expand? That shift in perspective is one of the strongest indicators that God is aligning you with wealth. Most importantly, you begin to feel a deeper sense of faith rising in your spirit, one that cannot be explained by logic alone. Even when circumstances look uncertain, there's a quiet confidence inside you whispering that everything will work out. This peace is not ordinary. It is divine. It is God's way of confirming that you are on the right path, even when the path feels unfamiliar. Hold on to that peace, because it is the anchor that will carry you through the storms. Wealth does not begin with numbers on a screen. It begins with faith unshaken by circumstances. And when you embrace that truth, you step into a reality where the signs are no longer subtle, they are undeniable, and they are leading you exactly where you are meant to go. Another sign that God is leading you to wealth is the awakening of persistence within you. Where you once gave up easily, you now feel something urging you to keep going. Even when progress seems slow, even when results are hidden, you sense a quiet strength pushing you forward. That resilience is not coming from you alone. It is being planted in you. It is a divine gift, a confirmation that you are being equipped for greater responsibility. Wealth requires endurance because the journey is never instant. If you feel a growing determination to rise again after setbacks, to keep pressing when others will quit, that is evidence you are being prepared to carry abundance. You also begin to experience moments of clarity that break through the noise of daily life. Ideas appear with precision. Solutions come in ways you never imagined, and you find yourself seeing opportunities where others only see obstacles. This clarity is not random. It is a signal that your spirit is aligning with divine direction. The fog of confusion lifts because you are no longer meant to wander. You are being positioned to step boldly. If you have noticed your perspective shifting, if you see possibilities that others overlook, then you are already walking the path God has placed before you. There is also a deepening hunger for wisdom. You start craving knowledge, seeking guidance, and desiring to grow in ways that once seemed unnecessary. You find yourself drawn to learning about money, leadership, discipline, and faith, because something inside you knows that wealth requires more than desire. It requires preparation. This hunger is proof that God is filling your cup making sure that when increase arrives, you are ready to hold it without it slipping away. Many people are given opportunities but lose them because they are unprepared. If you feel an unusual drive to sharpen your mind, develop your skills, and learn new ways of thinking, it is not random curiosity. It is a divine sign that you are being trained for the very blessings you have prayed for. Another powerful shift happens in the way you view yourself. Where you once doubted your worth, you begin to feel a new sense of confidence rising. Not arrogance, but certainty. A knowing that you were created for more. You stop comparing yourself to others and start recognizing your own unique gifts, talents, and potential. This identity shift is essential because wealth cannot rest on insecurity. If you are seeing yourself in a new light, if you are feeling a sense of dignity and authority within, then you are awakening to the truth that God has placed treasure inside you and the world is waiting for you to reveal it. And then comes the unmistakable shift in your priorities. You find yourself less attached to instant gratification and more willing to delay for a greater outcome. You resist shortcuts because you sense they will cost you long term. You begin to think not just about today, but about tomorrow, about legacy, about the future. This shift is not ordinary. It is spiritual maturity. It is God preparing you to handle wealth with wisdom, to think beyond yourself, and to build something that outlives you. When all of these signs begin to converge, you cannot ignore them. Persistence, clarity, wisdom, identity, and maturity. These are not accidents. They are confirmations. They are the fingerprints of God on your journey, showing you that you are not just wishing for wealth. You are being shaped for it. And when you embrace this process with faith, you position yourself to receive what has already been written for you, a life of abundance, impact, and divine fulfillment. You will also notice a rising desire to separate yourself from environments that no longer align with your growth. Places, habits, and even relationships that once felt comfortable may now feel draining, like they are pulling you backward instead of lifting you forward. This inner resistance is not random. It is a protective shield, a divine warning telling you that your future cannot be built in soil that refuses to nurture your seed. If you are feeling called to step away from circles that keep you small, it is because God is creating room for new connections that will elevate you. Separation is often the doorway to elevation, and the courage to walk away is one of the strongest signs that you are being guided toward wealth. There is also a new appreciation for stillness. Where you once sought constant noise, distraction, and activity, you now feel drawn to quiet moments because it is in stillness that clarity speaks the loudest. God whispers in the silence, and wealth is often revealed in the ideas, insights, and directions that emerge when you are willing to pause. If you find yourself craving solitude, it is not isolation, it is preparation. It is in those moments that your vision expands, your heart strengthens, and your path becomes illuminated. Stillness becomes a weapon, sharpening your spirit for the journey ahead. Another shift you may notice is an increased sensitivity to gratitude. What once felt ordinary now feels like a gift. You begin to thank God not only for the big breakthroughs, but for the small signs of progress, the little blessings that show up daily. Gratitude is not just a feeling. It is a magnet. It attracts more of what you acknowledge. When you live in gratitude, your focus shifts from what you lack to what you have, and that shift unlocks greater capacity to receive. If you are becoming more intentional about recognizing blessings, it is evidence that you are aligning with the frequency of abundance. Gratitude prepares your spirit to handle wealth with humility and joy. You will also feel a deeper call to responsibility. You begin to sense that your choices matter on a greater level, not just for yourself, but for the lives connected to you. Decisions that once felt personal now feel purposeful. You understand that wealth is not only about what you gain, but about how you use it. This awareness is a powerful sign that you are being prepared to steward abundance with integrity. God does not bless you for you alone. He blesses you so that through you, others can be blessed. If you are noticing a stronger weight on your choices, it means He is entrusting you with more. And then there is the undeniable inner peace that comes when you are walking in alignment. Even in the middle of uncertainty, even when things are not yet where you want them to be, there's a quiet assurance in your soul that you are exactly where you need to be. That peace is priceless. It is a confirmation stronger than any outside evidence. It is God's way of saying, keep going. You are on the right path. When that peace settles inside you, no obstacle can shake you, no delay can break you, and no fear can stop you. It is the anchor that holds you steady as you move closer to the wealth and purpose prepared for you. All of these shifts, separation, stillness, gratitude, responsibility, and peace, are not random moments. They are holy indicators, undeniable signs that God is guiding your steps. The more you embrace them, the faster you align with the destiny waiting for you, a destiny filled with abundance, freedom, and the power to create lasting impact. Another sign that wealth is drawing near is the sudden shift in how you handle challenges. Instead of breaking under pressure, you feel yourself growing stronger in the middle of it. Situations that once would have defeated you now become opportunities to test your faith, sharpen your resilience, and stretch your capacity. This strength is not by accident. It is God preparing you to carry more. Wealth is not only about gaining resources, it is about managing them with wisdom, and wisdom is often born in adversity. If you are noticing that trials no longer crush you the way they once did, it means you are being shaped for increase. Pressure produces power, and that power is proof of your preparation. There is also a growing sense of boldness rising within you. You start taking steps you once hesitated to take. You start speaking truths you once kept hidden. You begin to believe in possibilities that once felt unreachable. This boldness is a divine signal. It is the spirit of courage being awakened inside you, reminding you that you are not meant to live small, timid, or afraid. Every time you choose to act boldly in faith, you move closer to the life God designed for you. Fear tries to silence your calling, but boldness breaks chains. If you are sensing this new fire to step out, it is not reckless. It is divine guidance pushing you toward abundance. You will also feel a pull toward generosity, where once you clung tightly to every resource, now you feel joy in giving. You understand that money flows, and when it moves through you, it multiplies. The shift from scarcity to generosity is one of the most powerful indicators that God is aligning you with wealth. Greed clutches and loses, but generosity releases and attracts. If you find yourself eager to bless others, to invest in causes bigger than yourself, or to share what you have, it is a sign that your heart is being prepared to handle true abundance. Wealth cannot rest in closed fists. It flows through open hands. Another undeniable marker is the sharpening of discernment. You find yourself able to sense when something is right or wrong, even before the facts appear. You recognize false opportunities disguised as shortcuts, and you feel an inner knowing when something is aligned with your future. This spiritual discernment is a gift, and it becomes sharper as you grow closer to wealth because you will need it to protect what you are building. If your instincts have been speaking louder, guiding you to say yes or no with greater confidence, trust that voice. It is God directing your steps. And then comes the deep awareness of timing. You begin to understand that not everything must happen at once. You no longer rush or panic when things seem delayed because you sense that every step is unfolding exactly as it should. This awareness frees you from desperation and fills you with patience. And patience is one of the strongest signs of maturity. When you can wait without fear, when you can trust that the right moment will come, you are ready for wealth. For wealth requires not only readiness, but trust in the timing of the one who gives it. When strength and challenges, boldness, generosity, discernment, and patience begin to rise in you, they are not random qualities appearing out of nowhere. They are signs of transformation, proof that you are being built into someone who can hold abundance without being destroyed by it. God does not just want you to have wealth. He wants you to carry it with grace, with wisdom, and with purpose. Every sign is shaping you, guiding you, and confirming that you are on the path to the life you were created to live. You may also notice that your appetite for mediocrity begins to disappear. The excuses that once kept you comfortable no longer satisfy you. Settling for less feels unbearable because something deep inside you knows you were not created for an average life. This restlessness is divine. It is God breaking chains of limitation and igniting within you the desire for excellence. When you can no longer tolerate what used to hold you down, it means your spirit has outgrown its old cage. That fire you feel is not frustration. It is direction, pushing you to rise higher. With this shift comes a heightened awareness of accountability. You start to see that your results are not controlled by luck, by chance, or by what others do. You realize your decisions, your discipline, and your consistency are shaping your future every single day. This awareness is a gift because it removes the illusion of powerlessness. Instead of waiting for life to change, you begin to understand that change begins with you. That responsibility may feel heavy at first, but it is also liberating because it means you are never stuck. If you are noticing this stronger sense of ownership over your actions, it is because God is preparing you to lead yourself well before He entrusts you with greater wealth. Another powerful sign is the growing urge to align your life with purpose. Money for the sake of money no longer excites you. You crave meaning behind your work, depth behind your goals, and impact behind your efforts. This desire for purpose is not separate from wealth. It is the foundation of it. Wealth without meaning feels empty, but wealth tied to purpose multiplies joy, fulfillment, and legacy. If you're beginning to ask, not just, how can I succeed, but also, why does this matter? Who will this help? What will this create? Then you are stepping into the true calling of wealth. You may also find that patience and urgency begin to coexist in your heart. It sounds like a paradox, but it is a divine balance. You stop rushing blindly, yet you no longer waste time either. You feel a holy urgency to act today, while still trusting that the bigger picture will unfold in the right season. This harmony between urgency and patience is rare, but when it rises within you, it is a sign you are aligned. It means you understand that wealth is built both by the seeds you plant daily and by the trust you place in divine timing. And then comes the unmistakable pull toward discipline. You begin to crave structure, order, and consistency in ways you may have resisted before. You see that true freedom does not come from doing whatever you want, whenever you want. It comes from creating habits that move you closer to destiny. Discipline becomes less of a burden and more of a blessing because you finally see it for what it is, the bridge between vision and reality. If you feel the stirring to organize, to commit, to stay steady, then wealth is already calling your name. When mediocrity becomes intolerable, when accountability takes root, when purpose becomes your fuel, when patience and urgency walk together, and when discipline rises like a steady fire, you cannot mistake it. These are not random shifts. They are signs of transformation, proof that God is molding you into someone capable of carrying abundance with wisdom and grace. The life you long for is not out of reach. It is unfolding with every choice, every thought, and every step you take. In alignment with the destiny already written for you, you will begin to feel an undeniable call to expand your vision beyond yourself. Where once your goals were focused only on what you could gain, now you start to think in terms of impact, legacy, and contribution. You realize that wealth is not complete if it ends with you. It must overflow to touch lives, to uplift others, to create change that outlasts your lifetime. This awakening is a powerful sign. It means your heart is aligning with God's higher purpose, because true abundance is never selfish. When you feel the pull to build something bigger than your own comfort, you are stepping into the realm of destiny. With this comes a stronger sense of clarity about who belongs in your journey. Not everyone can walk with you to the next level, and you begin to see that clearly. Some people will misunderstand your growth, others will resist it, but instead of fighting for their approval, you feel peace in letting go. This discernment is divine. God is protecting your spirit by removing voices that would dilute your vision. Every time you release what does not align, you make room for the right connections, mentors, partners, and allies who carry the energy of abundance and faith. The people around you are mirrors of your future. And when you sense this truth deeply, you begin to choose your company with wisdom. You will also notice a hunger for excellence in everything you do. Half effort no longer feels acceptable. You feel compelled to give your best, even in the smallest tasks, because you know every action is a seed. Excellence attracts opportunity. Excellence separates you from the crowd, and excellence honors the God who planted gifts inside you. If you are noticing this inner drive to raise your standards and elevate your performance, it is a clear sign that wealth is near. God will never entrust greater blessings to someone unwilling to value what they already have. Your pursuit of excellence proves you are ready for more. Another undeniable shift is the increase in faith that rises in your heart during uncertainty. Where others see risk, you begin to see possibility. Where others panic, you find peace. Where others hesitate, you feel compelled to move forward. This mindset is not natural, it is supernatural. It is the evidence that you are being led by a power greater than yourself. When faith becomes stronger than fear, your path to wealth opens wider because you are no longer limited by what you see. You are driven by what you believe. You may also feel a deeper responsibility to manage what you already have with greater care. Finances, relationships, health, and time suddenly feel sacred, and you no longer treat them casually. You understand that stewardship is the foundation of increase. If you cannot handle what is small, you cannot handle what is great. That conviction to take care of what has been placed in your hands is one of the clearest signs that you are being prepared for more. Expansion of vision, clarity of relationships, pursuit of excellence, unshakable faith, and stewardship of blessings. When these qualities rise together, they are not ordinary changes. They are confirmations that your spirit is aligning with abundance, that God is molding you into someone worthy of carrying wealth without losing purpose. Each shift is preparation. Each step is evidence. And each sign is a reminder that you are closer than you realize to stepping into the fullness of the life you were always meant to live. Another unmistakable sign that God is leading you to wealth is the awakening of vision that feels too big to accomplish on your own. You start seeing dreams that stretch beyond your current resources, ideas that demand faith, and goals that require more than human strength. At first, they may feel overwhelming, but they are not meant to intimidate you. They are designed to lift you into alignment with divine provision. God gives you visions that exceed your limits so that you are reminded that you are not meant to walk this path alone. When the dream feels bigger than you, it is confirmation that He intends to walk with you, to provide, to guide, and to multiply what you place in His hands. This sense of expansion also shifts the way you handle failure. Instead of seeing setbacks as proof that you are not capable, you begin to view them as stepping stones. Failure loses its sting because you understand that every closed door, every delay, and every mistake is part of the training ground. Wealth requires resilience, and resilience is born in the moments when things do not go according to plan. If you find yourself bouncing back faster than before, refusing to let disappointment break your spirit, it is because you are being strengthened for increase. Failure no longer defines you, it refines you. That shift is a clear sign of preparation for the abundance ahead. Your perspective on time begins to transform as well. You stop wasting it on meaningless pursuits and start treating it as the most valuable currency you own. You recognize that every hour invested in growth, in discipline, and vision building is a seed planted for future harvest. Time becomes sacred because you understand that how you use it today determines the wealth you step into tomorrow. If you are feeling the urgency to protect your time, to avoid distractions, and to focus your energy, it is a sign you are aligning with destiny. God is showing you that the seasons of your life matter, and when you honor time, time will honor you with increase. You will also feel a rising compassion toward others. The more your vision expands, the more your heart expands too. You begin to see the struggles of others with deeper empathy, and you feel compelled to be a solution. Wealth is not just about personal gain. It is about becoming a vessel of hope, provision, and transformation for those who cannot yet see their own way forward. If your heart is stirring with the desire to lift others, to give, to serve, to build something that makes life better for people around you, that is divine confirmation. God will never give you a desire to bless others without also equipping you with the means to do so. And then there is the inner shift in your standards. You stop tolerating the excuses that once kept you small. You stop allowing yourself to settle for average effort. You know, deep within, that mediocrity cannot carry the weight of destiny. This internal demand for more from yourself is a sign that wealth is drawing closer, because God only raises your standards when He is preparing to raise your reality. If you feel that pull to expect more of yourself, to rise in discipline, and to elevate your expectations, it is because you are being prepared for a life beyond what you thought possible. When big visions, resilience and failure, reverence for time, compassion for others, and higher standards collide, you cannot deny it. These are not passing emotions. They are divine signals shaping you into the person who can carry wealth with purpose. Each shift is evidence that you are not simply chasing abundance. You are being led to it, molded for it, and strengthened to hold it with wisdom, faith, and unshakable conviction. Another sign that God is leading you to wealth is the growing clarity you feel about your true identity. For years, you may have defined yourself by limitations, by past mistakes, or by the labels others placed on you. But suddenly, you begin to sense a new definition rising within you. You no longer see yourself as broken or unworthy. You begin to see yourself as chosen, equipped, and prepared. This shift in identity is not accidental, it is a divine awakening. Wealth requires confidence in who you are, and God cannot release abundance to someone still enslaved by self-doubt. When you start seeing yourself through his eyes as valuable, as capable, as worthy of good things, you are stepping into alignment with the life he designed for you. This transformation in identity also reshapes your thoughts. The old pattern of negative thinking begins to break, and in its place, affirmations of possibility arise. You stop asking, what if I fail? And you start declaring, what if I succeed? Your mind becomes a fertile ground for faith, and with every thought of hope, you are planting seeds that will bear fruit in your actions. Research shows that what you repeatedly think about becomes the blueprint for your reality, and God knows this truth better than anyone. That is why he is training your mind to expect increase, to imagine abundance, to picture yourself walking in overflow. The vision in your mind becomes the prophecy of your future. You also notice that fear no longer holds the same power over you. The things that once paralyzed you, the fear of judgment, the fear of loss, the fear of the unknown, start to lose their grip. Courage rises where fear once ruled, and that courage is evidence of preparation. Wealth requires bold moves, and God does not send courage without a reason. If you are feeling stronger, braver, more willing to step out of your comfort zone, it is because you are being prepared to step into opportunities that demand faith. The presence of fear shrinking in your life is one of the clear signs that God is removing barriers between you and your destiny. Another powerful shift is the way you start honoring the small resources already in your hands. Instead of complaining about what you lack, you begin to treat every blessing, every dollar, every opportunity with gratitude and care. You realize that how you manage the little determines whether you are trusted with much. Gratitude becomes your foundation, and it changes everything. The more you give thanks, the more abundance flows, because gratitude opens the door for multiplication. If you feel your heart moving from dissatisfaction to appreciation, that is not random, that is divine positioning. God never brings increase to an ungrateful heart, but the moment you learn to honor the little, he begins preparing to release the greater. And through all of this, you start to notice divine alignment. People appear in your life at just the right time. Doors open in places you never thought to knock. Conversations spark new ideas. It feels as though invisible threads are weaving together opportunities that are perfectly designed for you. This is not coincidence. It is orchestration. God is aligning your path with people, places, and resources that are essential for your future. The more you pay attention, the more undeniable it becomes that your steps are being ordered. You are no longer wandering aimlessly. You are walking a path designed by heaven. When your identity strengthens, your thoughts align with faith, fear loses power, gratitude grows deeper, and divine alignment becomes visible, you can be certain that you are on sacred ground. These are not random experiences. They are preparation for wealth. They are signals that God is shaping you into someone who can handle blessing with maturity, carry influence with humility, and steward abundance with wisdom. You are not just waiting for wealth, you are being transformed into the vessel that can hold it. One of the most undeniable signs that God is leading you to wealth is the rising hunger within you for knowledge and wisdom. What once felt boring or unnecessary suddenly becomes essential. You feel a deep urge to learn, to grow, to understand more about yourself, about life, and about the principles that govern success. This hunger is not accidental. It is God pulling you away from ignorance and into understanding, because wealth does not flow to those who are careless with their minds. Knowledge expands your vision, wisdom strengthens your decisions, and together they prepare you to handle opportunities with clarity and power. If you feel that unshakable desire to read, to listen, to study, to seek truth, it is a clear signal that you are being equipped for something greater than your current season. This hunger also reshapes the way you see challenges. Instead of asking, why is this happening to me? You begin to ask, what is this teaching me? Every difficulty becomes a classroom, every struggle a lesson, every obstacle a chance to grow stronger. God knows that wealth requires resilience, and resilience is born when you learn from what you face instead of running from it. If you notice yourself extracting wisdom from pain and finding meaning in hard experiences, that is not a coincidence. It is proof that you are being trained for a level of influence that demands maturity. The wealth he is preparing you for is not just material, it is mental, emotional, and spiritual richness that cannot be shaken by circumstance. Another powerful shift happens in the way you manage your emotions. You begin to recognize that wealth is not built on impulse, but on discipline. You notice yourself becoming slower to anger, quicker to forgive, more patient, and more focused. This is God refining your character, because no amount of money can make up for a spirit that is easily broken or a heart that cannot handle responsibility. When you sense this inner calm taking root, it is evidence that you are being shaped into someone who can be trusted with more. Emotional maturity is one of the clearest signs that you are stepping into a new season, because abundance requires balance, and balance comes from a spirit anchored in peace. You will also feel a growing sense of separation. Not everyone will understand your vision. Not everyone will walk with you on this journey. Some people will fall away, and at first it may feel painful. But over time, you begin to see it for what it truly is: God removing distractions, trimming away the voices that do not align with your destiny, and making room for the relationships that will strengthen you. Separation is never a punishment. It is preparation. If you are experiencing loneliness or noticing distance from people who once were close, trust that it is part of the process. Every great calling requires focus, and focus cannot exist in the noise of the wrong company. And through this refining, something deeper awakens, a fire to take responsibility for your life. You stop waiting for others to save you, and you realize that God has already given you everything you need to rise. You understand that blaming, procrastinating, and doubting only delay your breakthrough. Responsibility becomes power, because when you own your choices, you also own your future. If you feel this stirring inside, to stop making excuses, to take control, to rise with discipline and faith, it is one of the most undeniable signs that God is preparing you for wealth. He is not just giving you resources, He is giving you the strength to handle them, the wisdom to multiply them, and the maturity to use them for His glory. Another unmistakable sign that God is guiding you toward wealth is the stirring within you to break cycles that have held your family or community captive for generations. You feel a resistance rise whenever you see patterns of lack, limitation, or struggle that seem to repeat themselves. Something in you refuses to accept that what was normal for those before you must also be your future. This is not rebellion, it is revelation. God places that fire in your spirit because He has chosen you to be the one who ends cycles of scarcity and begins cycles of abundance. When you feel that pull to create a different legacy, it is not just ambition, it is divine assignment. With that awareness comes a heightened sense of responsibility for the choices you make each day. You begin to understand that your actions are not only about you, they are about the generations that will follow. Every step you take toward discipline, growth, and wisdom is shaping the foundation for those who will walk after you. That awareness can feel heavy at times, but it is also empowering. It means your life matters. It means your effort carries eternal weight. And it means that God has entrusted you with the power to shift the destiny of countless lives through the way you choose to live right now. This awakening also changes how you see opportunity. Where others see limitations, you begin to see possibilities. Doors that seemed invisible to you before suddenly come into view. Instead of asking, "Can I do this?" you start asking, "How can this be done?" That shift in mindset is evidence of divine guidance. God does not open your eyes to opportunity unless He also intends to equip you for it. If you find yourself spotting chances for growth, business, impact, or creativity, where others see only barriers, that is confirmation that He is preparing you to step into wealth. The abundance you are being led to is not hidden from you. It is being revealed to you, piece by piece, as you learn to see with spiritual clarity. At the same time, you start feeling a deep conviction to live with integrity. You realize that wealth built without honesty cannot last. Something inside you pushes back against shortcuts, dishonesty, and compromise. You feel a desire to build in a way that honors God, honors people, and honors your own soul. Integrity becomes your shield because it protects the blessings that are coming your way. When you feel that conviction sharpen, when you find yourself unwilling to settle for what is easy but wrong, it is a sign that God is preparing you for wealth that will not crumble. Real abundance requires a strong foundation, and integrity is that foundation. And perhaps the most powerful sign in this season is the birth of relentless faith. You stop asking if things will work out, and you start declaring that they already are. You stop living in doubt, and you start living in expectation. Faith becomes the oxygen you breathe, the anchor that keeps you steady, the fire that keeps you moving. That faith is not naive. It is the evidence that you know who is guiding you. If you feel your faith growing stronger, unshaken by setbacks, burning brighter than fear, it is the clearest signal of all. It means God is aligning your spirit with abundance, building you into someone who will not only walk into wealth, but will carry it with strength, gratitude, and purpose. Another powerful sign that God is leading you toward wealth is the way your inner drive begins to outgrow your circumstances. You wake up with a restlessness that refuses to let you stay the same, even if your current situation feels comfortable. Something in your spirit tells you that comfort is not your destination. That holy discomfort is not meant to frustrate you. It is meant to push you. It is God's way of saying that where you are is temporary and that there is more ahead. When you feel this pull to rise higher, even when everything around you seems to suggest staying still, it is evidence that you are being guided toward a greater season of abundance. With that restlessness comes a heightened awareness of your gifts. Talents and abilities you once overlooked suddenly begin to feel important. You notice your skills more clearly. You see how your passions connect with your purpose. You begin to sense that what you carry inside you is not ordinary. This awareness is not pride, it is purpose. God is reminding you that He placed those gifts within you for a reason, and that reason is tied to the wealth and impact He is leading you toward. When you feel your confidence in your gifts rising, when you feel called to develop them and use them, that is not coincidence. It is a divine signal that your gifts will make room for you, opening doors no one can shut. At the same time, you begin to feel an urgency to discipline your habits. The casual choices that once felt harmless now feel heavy. You realize that wasted time, unhealthy patterns, and careless routines are costing you more than you can afford. So you start setting boundaries. You begin creating structure. You become intentional with your energy. That discipline may feel uncomfortable, but it is sacred. It is preparation. God does not release wealth into the hands of those who are not ready to manage it. If you are feeling the call to sharpen your habits, to rise in discipline, to live with focus, it is a sign you are being shaped for abundance. Another shift you will notice is the increasing pull toward excellence. You no longer want to do the bare minimum. You feel compelled to give your best even in the smallest tasks. You understand that how you do anything is how you do everything, and that greatness is built through consistency. That pursuit of excellence is not random. It is God molding your character for a life of influence. Wealth is not only about resources, it is about reputation, stewardship, and impact. Excellence prepares you for all three. When you feel that desire to rise above mediocrity, it is proof that God is aligning you with the level of life you were created to live. And as these inner changes take root, something deeper begins to anchor your spirit, peace that does not depend on circumstances. Even in uncertainty, you find yourself steady. Even when things feel delayed, you sense a calm assurance that everything is working in your favor. This peace is not natural, it is supernatural. It is God's whisper reminding you that He is in control and that your path to wealth is secure. If you feel this unshakable peace settling within you, it is the ultimate confirmation. It means you are no longer chasing abundance with fear. You are walking toward it with faith, knowing that what is meant for you will never be taken from you.